They say women feel deeply, but nothing shakes her world more than the moment you vanish without a word. At first it feels unreal, like silence couldn't possibly change anything. But silence is not empty. It bends the balance of power in ways most men never notice. See, women are never truly afraid of losing a man who argues, begs, or explains himself, because that man is predictable. She knows exactly what to expect. But when you walk away calmly, without revenge, without warning, her mind collides with uncertainty. And uncertainty is what human hearts fear most. This isn't about games, it's about discipline. The man who values his peace over her attention becomes rare, and rarity creates weight. Curiosity ignites, doubt multiplies, and behind the mask of her laughter, questions keep circling. Why didn't he chase? Did I push too far? Is he gone for good? That's when silence becomes more powerful than words. So if you're ready, hit like, subscribe to Stoic Station, and start this journey now. In the comments, drop a 1 if you've ever reacted with emotion, or a 2 if you've learned the power of silence. Because what comes next will test her more than her heart. It will test her ego. Let's dive in. 1. The shock of the unexpected. The moment you step away without noise, it doesn't land as weakness. It lands like a clean blade. No drama, no warning, no explanation. Just absence. And that's not what she rehearsed in her mind. She expected the usual cycle. She pulls away, you chase. She threatens to leave, you beg. She throws drama, you explain yourself. Most men break at this exact point. They circle back, justify, reset the old pattern, and unknowingly teach her one lesson, that their boundaries are flexible and her tests will always work. But this time, you choose differently. Imagine a familiar evening, voices raised, tension building, that same old line tossed into the air. Maybe we should take a break. In the past, you pleaded, you scrambled to fix things, but now you don't. You choose silence and self-respect over negotiation, and right there, something powerful happens. Psychologically, you've created what's called a prediction error. Her brain expected pursuit, and instead, it was met with stillness. That disruption alone triggers the scarcity effect. What is limited suddenly feels more valuable, and when the mind can't resolve uncertainty, it begins to panic. Your absence now collides directly with her pride. She flips through old messages, replays arguments in her head, checks your online status like a detective searching for clues. The more she cannot predict your next move, the louder the questions echo inside her. Is he serious this time? Did I push him too far? Is he already gone for good? It is not love she feels in this moment. It is the crushing realization that the pattern is broken and she no longer controls the outcome. And here is where your role as a man becomes critical. Hold your frame for the first 72 hours. Do not collapse into reaction. Reduce your digital presence. No announcements, no cryptic posts, no revenge attention. Instead, channel your energy back into order. Train your body, get real sleep, manage your finances, focus on your work, and surround yourself with grounded men who sharpen you. Each night, journal a single page with 2 lists: what I control and what I don't. That simple Stoic split will guard your discipline while her uncertainty compounds. Silence is not punishment, it is proof of self-governance. And if you felt this jolt, hers and yours, you know it's the moment the script is shattered. Comment, I choose calm, if you've lived it. Because what comes next is even sharper. The first thing to break isn't her heart, it's her ego. 2. Ego takes the first hit. The first thing that breaks isn't her heart, it's her image of control. When a woman is used to your instant availability, when every message of hers once guaranteed a reply, your calm withdrawal lands like a public demotion. She expected applause and attention. Instead, the curtain closed with no warning, and that shift stings deeper than she will admit. On the surface, she puts on a show. She posts, she laughs, she plays the part of being unbothered. But psychology works against her here. Loss aversion teaches us that people feel losses twice as strongly as gains. Losing your attention cuts far sharper than gaining another admirer can ever soothe. And beneath the confident display, she's wrestling with a battle of truths. Her mind now holds two clashing realities. I'm valuable, men don't leave me, versus he just left without begging. That conflict is called cognitive dissonance, and dissonance always seeks relief. So she searches for evidence you're still orbiting her world, watching her stories, liking her posts, replying quickly if she throws out bait. This is the trap most men fall into. One quick like, one just checking on you, and instantly the pressure lifts for her. Dissonance resolved. Lesson undone. She tells herself she still has you, and in that moment, you've become predictable again. The pattern resets. This is where your discipline defines you. Don't rescue her ego. Keep your standards private and keep your schedule full. Live with intention. Practice a 24-hour rule. You do not react to any bait for at least one full day. When temptation strikes, anchor yourself with a boundary phrase. My peace isn't a lever. Pair it with a ritual. Close the app, put the phone in another room, take a 10-minute walk to reclaim your frame. Respect grows only in the space where ego is not fed. And if you've ever watched pride crack long before love does, you know exactly how this stage feels. Hold steady, because when pride can no longer stand alone, it disguises itself with a mask. And that mask is what comes next. The mask of happiness. 3. The mask of happiness. Don't be fooled by fireworks. Most of it is smoke. When you walk away, her feed suddenly lights up with new selfies, louder laughter, and faster nights out. To the untrained eye, it looks like she's thriving. And this is the exact moment many men panic. They assume she has already moved on, so they break their silence, rush back into her world, and chase what is only a carefully staged illusion. What you're seeing isn't healing, it's impression management. It's a performance designed to control the narrative, not just for her friends, but for you. Psychology calls it a way to reduce dissonance. If I look fine, I must be fine. By projecting strength, she tries to convince herself that she hasn't lost control. The truth is, you're still the intended audience of this show. Every post, every exaggerated smile, every best life caption is aimed at you, not the crowd. And the danger here lies in your own perception. Your brain is vulnerable to availability bias. You see the highlight reel and mistake it for the full movie. You forget that social media isn't reality, it's a stage. And if you react, even with one small text or a like, you reward the mask. Her ego is instantly restored, not by growth or change, but by the confirmation that you still orbit her. Without realizing it, you hand her the very control you just reclaimed. Men in their late 30s and 40s cannot afford that mistake. With careers, responsibilities, children, and reputations at stake, you don't have the luxury of emotional whiplash. One impulsive move can undo months of progress, sending you back into the very cycle you worked so hard to escape. This is where discipline becomes your ally. Treat social media like a billboard, not a blood test. Mute her if you must, but don't stalk. Replace scrolling with Stoic training blocks. 45 minutes of focused work, 15 minutes of movement, repeated twice daily. Each week, add one masculine challenge, whether it's a sparring class, a 10K walk before sunrise, or cold exposure. These aren't just habits, they rewire your nervous system, reminding you that you, not her, drive the car. And whenever you feel the pull to check her stories, pause and ask yourself, does this action create my power or consume it? Because here's the truth. Happiness that must be advertised is rarely secure. If you've seen the performance and refuse to buy a ticket, you already know you're standing in your power. Comment "No more theater" if you've chosen reality over illusion. And from here, something else begins to stir beneath the surface, the quiet but undeniable force of the silent power shift. 4. The silent power shift. Power doesn't shout, it compounds. The silence you hold may feel like nothing on the surface, but in reality, everything is moving. This is the stage where most men doubt themselves because they mistake quiet for stagnation. They think, if she's not reaching out, nothing is changing. But that's a lie. Underneath, the balance of power is quietly tipping. Attention is a currency. Every message, every call, every moment you once poured into her was an investment in her ego. The day you stop spending it on her, you begin reinvesting in yourself. That reallocation shifts the market. Your habits sharpen, your presence grows heavier, your confidence steadier. And here's the paradox. She senses this shift without you sending a single text. It's not what you're saying, it's what you're no longer giving. While you're pulling back into your own orbit, she slips into the very cycle that once trapped you. Now she's the one ruminating, scrolling, second-guessing, checking for signs of life. Your silence creates scarcity, and scarcity fuels value. Her last memory of you, the man who was always available, is slowly being replaced by a new image, the man who is busy building. But this is also the point of greatest danger. If you break pattern now, if you send one late-night monologue 1 week, "I just miss us," you reset the exchange rate to cheap. Don't sell your peace for the price of nostalgia. Don't let the discipline you've built collapse under the weight of a single impulse. Instead, systemize your frame so you don't even leave room for weakness. Start your mornings with 20 minutes of learning, 40 minutes of training, 10 minutes of planning. In your workday, protect 2 deep focus blocks with your phone out of reach. Spend evenings with real people, brothers, mentors, men who hold you accountable, not the empty algorithm. Introduce a dopamine fast. No scrolling before noon. Each month, commit to one identity upgrade: your style, your posture, your speech, your leadership. Not to impress her, but to replace neediness with competence. And here's the beauty. When your life grows heavier, your words can grow lighter. You won't need long explanations because your presence will speak for itself. If you felt that quiet shift click into place, you know the transformation is real. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, because what comes next will test her pride even deeper. Her curiosity won't stay casual. It will evolve into something far stronger, from curiosity to obsession. 5. From curiosity to obsession. Mystery isn't created by tricks, it's created by discipline. She once could predict you down to the minute, but now she can't even predict the hour. That uncertainty spreads quickly, and it unsettles her more than she shows. The brain hates open loops, and psychology calls this the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished stories stick and play on repeat. Your silence becomes the ultimate cliffhanger she can't resolve. She scans your circle for signs. She asks mutual friends. She replays the last conversation, hoping for clues that will give her peace. But curiosity doesn't stay harmless for long. It morphs into control-seeking. That's when the light messages appear. "Hey, stranger. You good? Saw this and thought of you." These little pings are not reconciliation, they're reconnaissance. They are her way of probing the silence, testing if she still has influence over you. And here's where most men make their biggest mistake. They confuse attention with intention. They see a ping and treat it like a plan, but the reality is, a breadcrumb is not bread. If you answer quickly, you relieve her tension, resolve her dissonance, and fall right back into the category of predictable, undoing all the progress you made. This is the moment you must anchor yourself. The solution isn't coldness, it's consistency. You stay values consistent, but logistics unavailable. If you must reply, follow the 3 Ds. Delay, respond after 24 to 48 hours. Disengage, keep it brief, warm and neutral. Direct, if she truly asks to talk, set a time next week, in a public place, with a clear endpoint. What you cannot afford is the emotional autopsy over text. Do not explain your silence. Instead, demonstrate your standards through discipline, because curiosity thrives on gaps, but obsession only grows when it collides with boundaries. The more you uphold them, the more her mind begins to spin. If you've watched these probes turn into patterns, you already know what's coming next. Comment "no breadcrumbs" if you've ever seen this shift take hold. And when curiosity can no longer soothe her pride, it evolves into something deeper, something harder to hide. The spiral of desperation. 6. The spiral of desperation. Desperation doesn't always show up as tears. It shows up as urgency. After weeks of not being able to place you, she begins to feel the weight of permanent loss. And here's the truth. In the short term, loss feels heavier than love. That's loss aversion working against her, and it drives her to reach for relief, not reconciliation. You'll notice the shift in her tone. The light check-ins and casual, "Hey, stranger" messages evolve into something sharper. Suddenly it's, "I miss us. Can we talk?" Or, "Are you still angry?" On the surface, it looks like she wants healing. But if you look closer, you'll see the goal isn't healing at all. It's relief. She's not yet ready to carry the responsibility of change. She only wants the discomfort to stop. This is the critical point where many men step into the wrong role. They become the therapist, the emotional shock absorber. They take on her storm to calm her down. And yes, it works. For a moment, she gets the relief she was after, but without accountability. And the very next day, the old pattern resumes. Nothing has shifted except the fact that you absorbed the cost. For men in their late 30s and 40s, this cost is steep. You pay in compound interest, time wasted, reputation dented, children watching how you respond to chaos. One rescue today can become a decade of being the cushion for another adult's unprocessed emotions. You don't have that luxury anymore. That's why you need a simple filter, the 2-gate rule. For any conversation, 2 gates must be open. The gate of accountability. She names her part without excuses or blame. The gate of change. She proposes concrete changes. No threats to leave. No last-minute cancellations. Shared rules for conflict. If either gate is closed, you are not available for connection. You are only available for closure. Your tone must be calm. Your sentences short. Your boundaries specific. I'm not available for relationships built on threats. If that changes, actions will show it. Because relief without responsibility resets nothing. It only drags you back into the loop you worked so hard to break. Hold your ground here, because the pressure is about to intensify. When she can't calm the storm herself, she turns to others for validation, and that's when the crowd steps in. Next comes friends fuel the fire. 7. Friends fuel the fire. The chorus always gets loud when the solo gets shaky. When her pride is rattled and her ego feels the sting of your silence, she turns to her circle for comfort. And here's the trap. They don't see the full movie of your relationship. They only see the highlight reel of her pain. They see a curated version of events where she looks like the one who's been wronged, and you become the villain of the story. Advice pours in quickly, and it's almost always biased. Social groups unconsciously protect their own. To keep her self-image intact, her friends will frame you as the problem and her as the prize. And instead of soothing her, this framing actually deepens her obsession, because if she's so valuable, why are you gone? If she's so irresistible, why haven't you come crawling back? The questions she hoped to silence only grow louder inside her. This is where triangulation begins. Suddenly you might notice indirect messages, mutual friends reaching out on her behalf, or public jabs online that feel like they're aimed directly at you. All of it is bait. And the moment you engage, you put yourself back on trial in a court you never agreed to enter. The jury isn't impartial, it's her support system. And once you play that game, you've already lost. If you defend yourself to her friends, you surrender jurisdiction over your own life. Your leadership cannot and must not be outsourced to a group chat. The strength of a man is measured by his ability to stand firm without seeking validation from outsiders. The solution is simple and powerful: zero triangulation. Do not message her friends. Do not reply to subtweets. Do not correct the record in public. Your character is a long game, and time will always be your witness. If clarity is needed, state your standards directly to her in private, and only once. Then, turn your energy back to your own circle, your council of men, 2 or 3 grounded brothers who will tell you the truth, not what soothes your ego. That is where your accountability should live, never in her echo chamber. When you stop auditioning for outsiders, your power stops leaking. You conserve your presence, and you reclaim the authority over your own story. If you've ever refused the group trial and held your frame, you already know how liberating it feels. Comment "no triangles" if you've stood tall against the noise, because once the crowd fades, she's left to face the truth she's been avoiding, the realization that she no longer has control. And that's where the next shift begins, the realization of lost control. 8. The realization of lost control. Control ends the day respect begins. For the first time, she feels the weight of this truth. The tools she once relied on, delayed replies, mixed signals, emotional threats, no longer move you. What used to guarantee a reaction now falls flat. And in that silence, she's forced to confront the uncomfortable reality. Access to you is no longer guaranteed. It must be earned. This is the turning point, the shift from an ego economy to a respect economy. She can no longer buy your attention with beauty, with drama, or with scarcity. The only currency that matters now is accountability, consistency, and shared values. Anything less will not hold your presence. Of course, she may try one last round of games, hoping the old tactics still work. Or she may retreat into quiet, recalibrating her next move. But your test is the same in both cases. Hold steady. If you break now, if you chase or bend to pressure, you teach her the same lesson she always counted on, that pushing still works. And once you've sent that signal, respect dies before it has a chance to live. This is where so many men confuse compassion with compliance. Compassion is patient, it listens, it allows space. Compliance is boundaryless, it bends every time she pushes. Only one of these builds respect, and it isn't compliance. If a conversation comes, keep it simple. Lay out your standards. No threats to leave, no last-minute cancellations. Disagreements handled face-to-face instead of through silence or disappearance. Lay out structure. 2 dates a month planned in advance, 1 weekly check-in call, and if either of you breaks agreements twice, you pause and reassess. And above all, keep a self-respect clause. If I lose respect for myself in this, I'll step back. No drama, just decisions. That is Stoicism in practice, control your inputs, release the outcomes, and let her choices speak for themselves. When control dies, partnership finally has a chance to breathe. And if you've reached this clarity, you already know how much lighter strength feels compared to control. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, because what comes next will test both her pride and your discipline. If she does return, you'll be standing ready for the next stage, crawling back. 9. Crawling back. A return isn't a victory, it's an interview. When she finally reaches out earnestly, every part of you wants to celebrate. You feel the surge of relief, the temptation to sprint back into the old house as if love itself had been restored. But look closely. That house still carries the same broken beams. If you rush inside without caution, the entire structure will collapse on you once again. The Stoic way is measured. It allows you to feel the hope, but demands that you keep the helm. Reconciliation is not about nostalgia. It's about whether a foundation can truly be rebuilt. And for that, you need a process that protects your dignity while giving her the chance to prove her sincerity. Without structure, the past will resurface quickly. Old dynamics don't simply die, they respawn where boundaries are left vague. You know this because you've lived it. One soft entry, one overlooked excuse, and by tomorrow you're back in yesterday's arguments, wondering how the cycle reset so fast. And here's where perspective matters. You're not 22 anymore. You don't have endless time to burn through another spin cycle. At this stage of life, every decision carries weight. Children are watching, careers are advancing, your legacy is being built in real time. One careless yes today could cost years tomorrow. That's why you must filter any return through the 3 filters. First, responsibility. She must name her part specifically, without blame shifting. Second, a repair plan, concrete actions like therapy, communication rules, or a shared calendar, even a direct apology that addresses specific harms. Third, respect in motion, not words, but 2 to 4 weeks of consistent behavior before intimacy or heavy investment. Only then do you even consider opening the door. From there, build what I call a minimum viable reconnection plan. Keep it small, 2 low-stakes dates, 1 shared activity that builds rather than drains, like working out together, cooking a meal, or volunteering side by side. 1 weekly check-in to ask honestly, what worked, what didn't, what will we adjust? And if she violates that structure, you don't give speeches, you don't argue, you pause. The enforcement is in your action, not your words. Because love without respect doesn't heal, it ferments into resentment. Don't confuse her return for a resolution. If you've ever made that mistake, you already know the cost. Comment, interview first if this clarity resonates with you. And now we arrive at the final and most enduring lesson, the one truth that outlives the entire story, the core truth. 10. The core truth. Silence isn't the absence of action, it's the presence of discipline. That's the lesson most men miss. You were raised to believe that love is earned by giving more of yourself, by chasing harder, by proving your devotion through endless sacrifice. But in the process, you spent the very things that make love possible, your peace, your purpose, and your self-respect. Stoicism doesn't ask you to harden your heart. It asks you to strengthen your helm, to steer your own ship no matter how wild the storm becomes. You learn the dichotomy of control. Her reactions are not yours to govern, but your standards are. You stop negotiating your value against the weather of someone else's emotions. And in that clarity, you rediscover yourself, not as someone begging to be chosen, but as someone already complete. Yet the world will keep testing you. It will throw beauty without substance, drama disguised as passion, and attention that vanishes the moment you stop performing. Every test whispers the same question. Will you choose yourself without becoming bitter? Because if you answer wrong, you'll circle the same story again and again, chasing, over-explaining, losing yourself just to feel chosen. That isn't love. That's dependency dressed up in pretty language. The harder road is the truer road. Quiet, consistent self-respect. Guard your mornings, build your body, lead with service, but never with self-erasure. Speak less, decide more, date slowly, let actions prove intent. Reward accountability, not adrenaline. And when the time comes to walk away, do it with the calm of a man who can sleep at night, because his choices align with his values. The truth is this: you cannot lose what was never yours to control. The only real loss is yourself, when you abandon your own standards. Don't let that be your story. If this gave you clarity, comment below how you'll put it into practice this week, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Because when you walk away with dignity, she finally feels the weight you carried all along, and you finally step into the freedom you've been denying yourself.